Hello, Lewis here from the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. Just wanted to add this little piece in here before the actual podcast began. As you'll hear on the upcoming podcast, which is going to start in a few moments, I went on a little rant about Alberto El Patron no-showing the Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground show. I went on a rant about it, and you'll hear it, and I recorded it, and I sent it off to editing, and after I sent it off to editing, news came out that Impact Wrestling has, in fact, released Alberto El Patron. So I wanted to just talk about that briefly before the actual podcast began, because I didn't have a chance to speak about it during the podcast, because I didn't find out until after I recorded. So Impact Wrestling has released Alberto El Patron, no-showed the event, and you'll hear my rant in a few moments, as I said, on the podcast coming up. I thought it was Bush League move by Alberto El Patron. He's done it before. Obviously, he wants to go back to the WWE, so he decided to no-show, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him at WrestleMania or on WWE TV in the near future. But bottom line, he's no longer with Impact Wrestling. I say good riddance. We don't need negativity like that in Impact Wrestling. So when I heard the news, I was thinking C. So goodbye, Alberto El Patron, and have fun wherever you're going. It was really bad what you did. You should not have no-showed. But I don't want to go into a rant now. You'll hear the rant. You hear me talk about it in a few moments, as I stated. What it means for redemption. The main event was Austin Aries, of course, against Alberto El Patron. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Eli Drake will cash in the case that he won from Moose. Maybe they'll give Brian Cage title shots. Maybe they'll have a little tournament. Maybe they'll have a tournament they can show on Twitch or something. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. But bottom line, Alberto El Patron is gone from Impact Wrestling. So I just wanted to add that in before the actual podcast began. And the actual podcast begins right now. Hello and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast. I'm your host, Lewis Carlin, and we're part of the Tap Out Wrestling Podcast Network, and this is the Impact Wrestling edition of the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast. And what a weekend! What a week! What a week for Impact Wrestling. We had the regular show, the normal show on Thursday, and what a freaking show! Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground, which was on Twitch, with live feed on Twitch TV, the Impact Wrestling channel on Twitch TV. What a phenomenal show that was, man. From top to bottom. There were maybe one or two matches that were okay, but overall it was just a spectacular show. Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground, and I'm going to be talking about that. I'm looking forward to getting into that, because I really enjoyed that show. Terrific show. Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground. The crowd was wonderful for that show. The crowd was pumped up. The crowd was electric. Exactly the type of crowd that Impact Wrestling needs. Great show, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. And it was a decent show on Thursday as well. Eli Drake completely outsmarting Moose. Moose coming across looking like a complete schmuck. And we're going to talk about that as well. He lost his case. Eli Drake has the world title case. It was a case-for-case match, and Eli Drake came out of this match looking so much smarter than Moose. Completely outsmarted him, as I said last week. And and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that this week. But we're going to talk. Let's go over some news. One thing that happened though at Impact versus Lucha Underground. Actually, before I do that, I just want to do a few quick shout-outs. I'm going to do shout-outs now on the show. A few wrestler shout-outs, and one friend of the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast shout out. So I'm going to shout out two plugs. I want to plug my boy JP Sims, and of course another guy that I think is just tremendous. I think it would be great in Impact Wrestling, Kobe Christ. So I want to shout those two guys out, JP Sims and Kobe Christ. I know there's a lot of talent in Atlanta, Canada, and Marcus Burke has already. He was on Impact Wrestling twice already. But give these two guys a shot. JP Sims, Kobe Christ. They're both very, very talented wrestlers. JP Sims and Kobe Christ, they both deliver each and every time they're in the ring. Scott D'Amore, Don Callis, give them a shot. JP Sims, Kobe Christ, two very, very talented wrestlers. So I want to shout those guys out. And Kayfabe Today, a website that I write for occasionally. It's a great, great website. Lots of material, WWE, New Japan, they were doing Impact, Ring of Honor. If it has to do with pro wrestling, Kayfabe Today is covering it, but it's not Kayfabe Today anymore. They changed their name. It's now called ProWrestlingJournal.com. So I just wanted to shout those guys out as well. So ProWrestlingJournal.com. It's still Kayfabe Today on Twitter, but the website no longer Kayfabe Today. ProWrestlingJournal.com. Check them out. Terrific website. Great writers. They have great contributors. And if you're looking to contribute, contact me at PWSOTH, and I could hook you up there. So, and one more shout out to a friend of mine, another friend of the show, Mr. V on Twitter. Actually, let me get his Twitter handle. So give me 1 second. I'm going to find Mr. V. I'm going to get his Twitter handle. I don't want to shout somebody out without giving a Twitter handle. That's not how I roll. I know some other websites might roll like that. Other podcasts might roll like that. But I don't roll like that. So let me get Mr. V's Twitter handle. So Mr. V, it's at LIB Superstar, so at Lib Superstar on Twitter. So Mr. V, good friend of the show. I just wanted to give him a shout out as well. So there you go. So those are the shout outs for the week on the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast and the Impact Wrestling edition. Actually, one more. I'm thinking. I'm going to shout out RJ City. RJ City's embroiled in a feud right now with David Arquette. I think they're meeting up for a little showdown in New Orleans, WrestleMania weekend. So I just want to shout out the feud. It's RJ City versus David Arquette. So all right, there you go. There are the shout outs. So one thing I wanted to talk about, Lucha Underground, Impact Wrestling versus Impact Wrestling. Alberto El Patron no shows the event. Yeah, no. Alberto El Patron was scheduled to be in the main event. It was going to be him and Pentagon Jr. against Austin Aries and Phoenix. And Alberto El Patron no shows the event. There's rumors that he's saying that he called in sick, which is bullshit. And I read that other wrestlers are upset that he no-showed. And just 2 hours prior, he was in a press conference, a little verbal confrontation with Austin Aries, promoting the show. But then he decides to no-show. He no-shows the event. And now there's a little rumor going around that he's going to be Braun Strowman's mystery partner at WrestleMania. Yeah, if that's the case, first of all, it's total bullshit. You don't no-show an event. This was a huge event for Impact Wrestling and Lucha Underground, and it was a hugely successful event. And let me tell you, the main event was probably better off without him because it was a great main event. Turned into a three-way dance between Pentagon Jr., Phoenix, and Austin Aries. It probably would have been less entertaining if El Patron was involved. But to no-show the event, come on, Impact Wrestling doesn't need that bullshit right now. They're on a huge upswing right now. They don't need this bull crap. Alberto El Patron decides to no-show. Negotiating with the WWE. I know he was verbally assaulted by Austin Aries. Did Austin Aries during the press conference, and he walked off in a huff? Did Austin Aries go a little too far and hurt El Patron's feelings? But whatever the case may be, even if he was sick, you show up. You show up. And the crowd let him know how they felt by saying F Del Rio over and over again. And I kind of agree with them on that. Unless something seriously was going on where he had a medical issue and it was reported, but none of that's coming out. It's just they're saying that he called in sick. He suddenly got sick and he couldn't make it. Or even if he was sick, he still should have shown up. Yeah, no, I mean, unless he had something terminal or something, right? But he's done this in the past. He's notorious for no showing events, for silly reasons, and I have a feeling this is just another one of his no showing an event for a silly reason. And if he's negotiating with the WWE and he shows up at WrestleMania as Braun Strowman's partner, I'm gonna say F Del Rio, F Del Rio. I'll agree with the crowd. So wasn't happy about that. And if he is doing this stuff, this crap, I say to Scott D'Amore and Don Callis, Impact Wrestling's on a huge upswing. We don't need this type of crap. Get rid of him. We don't need that type of crap in Impact Wrestling right now because things are really, really rolling right now for Impact Wrestling. More and more fans are coming aboard, and less and less trolls are showing up, and after watching Lucha Underground versus Impact Wrestling, with the crowd, the way they were cheering, the way they were "This is awesome" chants were heard numerous times during the show. The Impact Wrestling trolls, all the haters out there, they have less and less material right now, so they're slowly phasing out and maybe look for another promotion to go after. But anyway. Impact Wrestling is fantastic. The ratings went down this week, which is okay. I mean, it happens. The ratings go down, but it'll shoot back up. I'm not worried about that. The quality of the shows have been just phenomenal. And Impact Wrestling haters, like I said, they have less and less material to work with. Now you got El Patron doing this, so maybe they might have a little bit more material, jumping on this El Patron thing, that he is no showing the event. But again, it was total bullshit. Total bullshit. Should not have happened. He should have shown up, regardless. But again, unless, he's WWE signed him and he's taken off. That's the only thing I can think of, and I'll be so freaking pissed off if that's the case. If he actually has signed with the WWE, and he shows up with the WWE. I'll be totally pissed off. And I was talking to Nick at the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. He hosts the the Wrestling News Weekly, and he says I like him coming back, just not in that spot. Hey Nick, come on. Come on, Nick. I wish you were here to defend yourself because I'm gonna go on a little rant here. What do you mean you like him coming back? I mean, you don't do that to Impact Wrestling. You don't negotiate with the WWE and while you're with Impact Wrestling, while you have a big show to attend. I mean, what's going to happen at Redemption now? If he signs with the WWE and he shows up, what's going to happen with the main event at Redemption? Austin Aries was Alberto El Patron. I'm sure they have a backup plan, but still, that's total bullshit. And why would the WWE want to even deal with somebody like that if that's the case? I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, Nick. I don't mean to. I'll clarify what you mean on that later. I don't mean to go off on you here a little bit, but I'm just a little pissed off. So we'll clarify what Nick means on that a little later. I'm sure he doesn't mean anything bad, as he knows how I feel about Impact Wrestling, and I'll fight him. I'll fight Nick. I'll fight Nick over Impact Wrestling. Nah, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't fight you, Nick. Nick's a good guy. Actually, they have a great show. He has a great show with Myron, as I mentioned, the Wrestling News Weekly. So make sure you check them out. It's every Wednesday. Tap Now Wrestling Podcast Network. They have a great show. Myron and Nick, great chemistry and great show. So check them out. But anyway, back to this El Patron thing. He's really screwing up their plans. If he does, in fact, sign with the WWE, I don't know if he's gonna, but I have this feeling in my gut that El Patron is going to show up at WrestleMania somehow, or NXT or something. I have this sick feeling in my gut that that's going to happen, and it'll be even a sicker feeling if it does actually come true. Because next week, you think I'm ranting on him now? If he does that, you just wait till next week on the podcast. I will freaking destroy him on the podcast if he does that to Impact Wrestling. All right, so I think we've spent enough time talking about Alberto El Patron, or we may be referring to him as Alberto Del Rio soon. Anyway, but anyway, so let's move on. Let's move on. I want to talk about Xplosion. Actually, I watched the match on Xplosion this week. Actually, the latest episode that was on the Global Wrestling Network, which was March 31st, Xplosion. The match was KM against the debuting Sugar Dunkerton. So that was, this is what I like about Xplosion. Let's debut new talent. KM, okay, he's taking on KM, all right, but I wish it would have been like new talent against new talent. But I guess KM needs to get a little bit of TV time, so they got KM on this Xplosion match, and Sugar Dunkerton, he had the crowd going. He's very entertaining. Very entertaining heading to the ring. Good ring entrance. Like I said, the crowd was getting into it, and I love the talent. I love the talent debut. I love the debut of Sugar Dunkerton. He did really well in the ring. It was a decent back and forth action between the two. KM is KM. I'm a fan of KM. He's always good in the ring. I feel KM could be a top heel in Impact Wrestling given the opportunity. But it was a good match, good back and forth, good action, and again, like I said, great debut for Sugar Dunkerton. He was on the losing side of this match. KM did win, but I'd like to see more of Sugar Dunkerton. Great job giving him a shot on Xplosion, and I hope we see more of Sugar Dunkerton. I can say I'm a fan of Sugar Dunkerton after watching that match. But good stuff. KM, like I said, always fun to watch, and great debut from Sugar Dunkerton. So like I said this about Xplosion last week. Xplosion, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. Xplosion, they have an opportunity. They have another hour of programming. They have an opportunity to showcase new talent. And thumbs up here for showcasing the new talent in Sugar Dunkerton this week. Love to see more of Brent Banks. We'd love to see Tarek from Smash Wrestling debut. I mentioned two names earlier. The shout-outs I gave, JP Sims, Kobe Christ. We'd love to see them on Xplosion. I'd like to see Marcus Burke again. There's Tyson Dukes, but I think Tyson Dukes belongs on Impact Wrestling, not the B show. So Tyson Dukes, I'd like to see him back. Give him a spot on Xplosion. What the hell? Yeah, lots of talent out there. I would like to see. Sebastian Suave would be terrific as well. So lots of talent. Jake something. I would like to see on Xplosion. So they have an hour of programming with Xplosion. Bring in the new talent. Give us 3 matches with new talents. I don't want to go on that again. I talked about it 2 weeks ago, but they have an opportunity here. But they give you the one new fresh match, and then it's all interviews and highlights and stuff. But they should take advantage of this 1 hour, and that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that on Xplosion this week. But anyway. So the show this week actually was pretty good. There was actually, let's see what's going on. The Impact Wrestling Twitch channel actually. It's been showing nonstop streams live from New Orleans. So right now, I just flipped it on, and right now it's Saturday, April 7th. It's 4:42 as I'm recording, and there's Jimmy Jacobs is out walking. Looks like he's walking around the Riverwalk of New Orleans. He's by himself. I think Josh Matthews is with him, and Stone Rockwell is there as well. The feed's not the best right now. It's a little blotchy, but yeah, you got Stone Rockwell, Jimmy Jacobs, and Josh Matthews walking around New Orleans live on Twitch, and you got almost 1,000 people, watching Jimmy Jacobs, Stone Rockwell, and Josh Matthews walking around in New Orleans. So that's pretty cool. And close to 1,000 people are watching that. So. But anyway, let's get on to the show this week. The show actually said it was pretty good. Had some really good matches. 2 impromptu matches took place this week. The first one, the show opened with Bobby Lashley coming to the ring. He said that Brian Cage's win last week was just a fluke. And he says Brian Cage thinks he's the next big thing, that he should come out and face him one-on-one again, and that way he could, I think he said something, he'll promise to make Brian Cage famous. Brian Cage came out. They go one-on-one. Actually, Lashley attacked Brian Cage initially. He attacked him right away, and the bell rang, and we have a match. We have another match. It wasn't advertised as a match. It was advertised as Bobby Lashley is going to be calling out Brian Cage this week. Brian Cage came out, and we had a match, impromptu match. The bell rang, and the match began, and we got a really, really good match. Second good match between Lashley and Cage, as expected. Good back and forth action. Good big man match. Really, really solid. But the only thing that was lacking was the freaking crowd was freaking silent when they should have been freaking electric. You know, the Impact versus Lucha Underground crowd was they were pumped. They were excited. That's the type of crowd that that this match should have taken place in front of. This is how the crowd should have been. This is two huge stars, Brian Cage and Bobby Lashley, going one-on-one for the second time in Impact Wrestling, and there was a quiet crowd. It's a quiet crowd, and it really got irritating. It really took away from the match. Because the match, I said, was really good. Good back-and-forth action. And, of course, you know, Bobby Lashley putting Brian Cage over for the second week. Brian Cage is going to be the new monster of... I'm sure to say monster. That's Kongo Kong is the monster, but the new big guy, the new muscle guy, I guess you could say, of Impact Wrestling. And he got the second win over Bobby Lashley. Hit him with the drill claw. And he got the win, but the crowd was so quiet. The crowd should have been exploding. The crowd should have been freaking exploding during this match. It is frustrating. You know, you're watching the match, you're like, I'm like excited watching this match, and the crowd is just like they're standing, but they're quiet. It's almost like they'd rather have been somewhere else. Very, very annoying. It really took away from the match. They need to get out of the freaking Impact Zone. I'm sorry. I know they went back. You know, they were up in Ottawa. That was a decent crowd. They were in India, which was a great crowd. They have to get out of there. They have to get away from the Impact Zone. They have to get away from this Impact Zone, or at least maybe charge for tickets. Get in real pro wrestling fans. Don't make the tickets free where anyone can just come in and watch. So it was just frustrating to watch. You know, this great match, great match. I'm frustrated, man. Great matchup, and we should have had, you know, an electric crowd. I'm sorry, that's how I feel, but I know they're going to Windsor, heading to Windsor in June, which should be a great crowd in front of the Border City Wrestling crowd, and they always have a good crowd there, so I'm looking forward to that taping. But they gotta get out of this Impact Zone. I'm sorry. They should just say thank you. Thank you, Orlando. We don't want to record. We don't want to tape our matches here anymore. We're gonna go tape elsewhere in front of a much better crowd. That's what they need to do. That's what they need to do. Anyway. So let's move on. Make sure I'm actually record. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I hit the record button. Okay, which I have. So thankfully I am recording. So okay. So then from there we had Allie came to the ring, and like Bobby Lashley called out Brian Cage, Allie comes to the ring and she calls out Su Yung. She's all fired up. She said the word ass. I couldn't believe it. She said the word ass. And she thought about it for a bit, but she said ass. Which was a great moment in the career of Allie. She said the word ass. I think she said, "I'm gonna kick your ass" or "get your ass out here" or something. So Su Yung comes out. And Allie attacks right away, just like Bobby Lashley attacked Brian Cage right away. Allie attacks Su Yung right away, and almost like a carbon copy of what we just saw. And then the bell rings, and we have a match. We have another match. The match hasn't been advertised. It was advertised as Allie calling out Su Yung, but we have a match. Which, you know, I don't know if that might be the best thing. I would have liked to have seen them, you know, build up Su Yung a little bit, have her get a few more squash wins, maybe attack Allie a few more times. It just feels like it's being rushed. And by the way, Su Yung attacked Allie 2 weeks ago, and obviously I guess she's thinking about the taping and they got it screwed up. She actually said that she was attacked last week by Su Yung, but she was actually attacked 2 weeks ago. So they kind of messed that up there, which they didn't catch. But that's cool. That's cool. Or maybe they figured that nobody would notice it, but I noticed it. So Su Yung actually attacked Allie 2 weeks ago, but Allie says, "You attacked me last week. You jumped me last week, Su Yung. Now get your ass out here." I'm still shocked that Allie said ass. But anyway, but that being said, they had a decent go. They had a decent go, and it was a good little sprint for a bit. Good little action. It was good stuff. It wasn't great, but it was good action. The match ends. Allie wins by disqualification. Braxton Sutter had come out and grabbed Allie's leg, and Su Yung gets the kendo stick and shoves the ref down, and then attacks Allie, and the referee disqualifies Su Yung. But then Su Yung beats down Allie post match, and it sets the stage. The feud's going to continue. I glad the feud's continuing. I'm glad Allie didn't get his victory over Su Yung. That would have ended the feud. So Su Yung beat down Allie, and I fully expect them to meet one-on-one at Redemption for the Impact Knockouts title. So it's a good little feud between the two. Braxton Sutter and Su Yung. I'm not sure where the connection is between the two. It seems to be an oddball connection. I don't know. I don't know if Su Yung if he's just he's just going out on his own, or if there's a collaboration between the two. But it just seems to be an odd pairing, Su Yung and Braxton Sutter. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what transpires in the upcoming weeks. But anyways, Allie has a legitimate opponent in Su Yung, so it's good stuff. And next week, actually, Rosemary has a little video package. Rosemary challenges Taya Valkyrie to a Demon's Dance match. I'm not sure if they ever had a Demon's Dance match. I'm not sure what it is. I sincerely hope it's not a dance-off, but I'm sure it's not. But we'll find out next week what the Demon Dance match is. But whatever it is, I don't care, because I absolutely love the feud between Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. So whatever, they could have a lipstick on a pole match. I don't care. They can have anything, or face paint on a pole, or whatever. But they can have any type of match. I'd be interested, because in my opinion, it's one of the, if not the hottest feud right now in Impact Wrestling. Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. So, looking forward to that next week. After that, Matt Sydal and Josh Matthews backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell interview. It ends with Josh Matthews saying that he's a trained wrestler and he's going to take on Petey Williams next week. So next week, one-on-one, Josh Matthews versus Petey Williams. I'm starting to hate this. I'm serious. I initially love the pairing between Sydal and Josh Matthews, but I feel it's kind of going nowhere. It's kind of going nowhere. They had an opportunity to be a top heel team in Impact Wrestling, but right now I feel it's going nowhere. I have really no interest in seeing Petey Williams take on Josh Matthews, because Petey Williams is not going to lose to Josh Matthews. Josh Matthews losing the grand title was, again, a mistake. Well, Sydal lost it, and they took it off of Josh Matthews, but that was a mistake. Josh Matthews should have held on to that belt, and they should have played the angle where he claims to be a fighting champion and just getting on people's nerves. I mean, he was getting on people's nerves on Twitter, calling himself champ. That was great stuff, but it's just losing steam really, really fast. If not, it's lost all its steam, in my opinion. And they had a lot of potential there, but I think the potential is kind of gone right now when it comes to Sydal and Josh Matthews. They had the opportunity, when they initially, Josh Matthews initially showed up as his spiritual guide. it was great stuff, and I was really looking forward to. I tweeted out that they could be a top heel team, but it's fizzled out. It's fizzled out. And next week, Petey Williams versus Josh Matthews. Petey Williams will beat Josh Matthews, and of course, Seidel will jump in and attack Petey Williams, and then we'll see Petey Williams 1-on-1 against Matt Seidel at Redemption. That match is already signed, but it'll. Anyway, let's move on. I don't want to talk about Seidel and Josh Matthews anymore. So after that, we have KM. Now, the in-ring segment. I initially thought it was KM versus Richard Justice, because Richard Justice is backstage. KM goes up to Richard Justice and says, Richard, you got a match. You got to go now. He goes, really? He goes, yeah, they need you in the ring. Go to the ring. And Justice goes to the ring. KM comes down. So I initially thought it was KM tricking Richard Justice into having a match with him. But KM comes down. It was just an in-ring segment. KM calls him fat. He attacks him. And I have to say, Richard Justice, he did a pretty good job here as the guy who was being made fun of. And he looked really upset, and he really looked almost embarrassed, looked embarrassed, and he looked really sad. He did a pretty good job. I'm not a Richard Justice fan, but he did a pretty good job. And but KM ran him down with fat jokes, and then finally KM attacks him. And Falaba comes out. All right, here comes Falaba, making the save. He takes out KM, but Trevor Lee and Caleb Conley come to the ring, and they attack Falaba. Justice tries to get involved, but they take out Justice, and it's 3-on-2, and Ba and Justice are getting beat down by Lee, Conley, and KM. And then Tyrus comes down, makes the save, and Tyrus cuts a promo about bullies. And I could see a 6-man tag team in the future. If not, we might see it next week. A 6-man tag team match: Tyrus, Falaba, and Richard Justice against KM, Trevor Lee, and Caleb Conley. Now, I really liked Falaba making the save here, because anytime we saw Falaba, he was just in the ring against whoever, and he would wind up losing the match. But this is a little different here for Falaba. Give him something different to do. Run to the ring, make the save. Richard Justice is getting attacked. He's being verbally put down by being called fat by KM, and Falaba is the fat kid. Fat kid rules the world, and he comes down, he makes the save, and then Tyrus comes down and saves the both of them from Lee, Conley, and KM. So it was a good segment. I thought it was a good segment. I liked the segment. And it's definitely setting up a feud. I like the team, KM, Trevor Lee, and Caleb Conley. They make a decent threesome. I don't know if KM is going to actually be a part of the cult of Lee, but I like the team there. I like that little faction: KM, Trevor Lee, and Caleb Conley. Like I said, KM could be a top heel. He did a great job in putting down Richard Justice. So it was great stuff. A good segment, a lot of potential there. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that leads to and where that goes. All right. And from there, Eli Drake is backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell, and backstage interview, and Eli Drake was absolutely fantastic in this interview. He was mocking Moose in a his mocking Moose in a funny voice, and rightfully so. And it was great stuff. He just putting Moose down. He said, "Hey, maybe I want your case, Eli." Stuff like that. You got to see the promo. It is really, really good. Eli Drake is when you give a mic, when you put a mic in front of Eli Drake, he is absolutely gold. Eli Drake is the total package. Not Lex Luger, but he's the complete package. He talks the talk. He talks the part, he plays the part, and he acts the part. He's absolutely fantastic in the ring and out of the ring. He's an incredible talent, and this interview was really, really good. Anytime you get Eli Drake in any type of segment, Eli Drake is fantastic. Huge fan of Eli Drake. And this interview was terrific, absolutely terrific. And then from there, we had match number 3. So match 3 we had, which was a really interesting matchup. Taiji Ishimori against Johnny Impact. Now let me tell you, this was an excellent match. Great back and forth action. Love the matchup here. Both guys are really, really talented. But again, the crowd was kind of quiet again. But great match. Good, like I said, good back and forth action. Taiji Ishimori hit some really, really good spots, especially a moonsault to the outside. But in the end, it was Johnny Impact winning the match. He hits the Starship Pain for the win. The winner is Johnny Impact. And I knew sooner or later, after the match, we're going to hear Kongo Kong's music because the little verbal confrontation that Jimmy Jacobs had with Johnny Impact last week. So I knew we were going to get some sort of interaction between Impact and Kongo Kong, and I was right. Kongo Kong's music hits. Post-match, he comes out, and him and Johnny Impact go at it. Johnny Impact, actually Kongo Kong controlled in the beginning. Johnny Impact came back at the end, and stood tall, and he went back into the ring. Johnny Impact, he hit a dive to the outside, goes back into the ring and calls Kong into the ring, but Jimmy Jacobs stops him and sends Kong back, and we're gonna have a match at Redemption. Johnny Impact 1-on-1 with Kongo. Excuse me. I'm getting too excited. I gotta slow down. So I'm sure we're gonna get the match at Redemption. Johnny Impact against Kongo Kong. That's what they're leading to. Should be a great match. Both are very, very talented wrestlers, so it's going to be a really, really, really interesting match between the two. Kind of like Davey versus Goliath type match, but I'm looking forward to it. I would hope that Kongo Kong wins, but I'm kind of thinking that Johnny Impact is gonna get a big victory over Kongo Kong in this one when they do finally meet. So we'll see, but either way, it's going to be a great match between Impact and Kongo Kong. A lot of people look at Kongo Kong like I said last week, and they judge they're judging the book by its cover. Don't do that. Kongo Kong is an extremely talented individual, extremely talented wrestler. A great big man, and I think it would be a perfect opponent for Johnny Impact. And I'm really looking forward to that match. After that, we got Austin Aries and El Patron, an all-access video package, which was really good. It really elevated the upcoming match. It really gave it a big match feel. But that match might not happen now. Not sure what the deal is with El Patron, so I'm not going to talk about that segment anymore because I'm still a little pissed off with El Patron. We got a LAX in the clubhouse segment, which was okay, which is good. You know, Conan, great talker. Not much really going on for LAX right now since the Trevor Lee Caleb Conley feud is over. They really in their OVE is the other tag team OVE is busy right now with Eddie Edwards. So we're not getting much. From LAX, we need to get a few more teams in, get some feuds going for LAX, Impact Tag Team Champions. I can't stress that enough each and every week. We need more tag teams in Impact Wrestling. Then from there we had the Case versus Case match, or it should have been, we should have called it the Eli Drake outsmarting Moose match, is what they should have called it. And it was a very, very good match. Eli Drake putting up his tag team title shot Case that he won at Feast of Fired. Moose putting up his world title opportunity. The Case that he won at Feast of Fire. And think about it. Again, I said it last week. Why would anybody want to put up a world title shot, just so they could get their hands on a tag team title shot? It just doesn't benefit Moose at all. It just makes him look like a complete dummy. I'm sorry. Eli Drake just totally outsmarting him here. It's how it comes off. That's how it comes across to me anyway. It's Eli Drake just completely outsmarting Moose. no doubt. I mean, Eli Drake has really nothing to lose and everything to gain, and Moose has really nothing to gain but everything to lose. It just totally outsmarting him. And it was a very good match. It was good back and forth action. Good back and forth action. You have Moose. Let me go back to Moose. He talks about that's his dream to become Impact Wrestling champion. He I think he was talking about how he hasn't gotten a shot at the Impact Wrestling World Title, and it's that shot's been eluding him, and he never has gotten a shot, and he finally gets this case, and and he gets his shot at the World Title, and he puts it on the line against Eli Drake in an attempt to get a tag team title shot. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, it's so important to him. But let's go case for case, Eli Drake. Let's do it. I'm a gambling man. Let's do it. So again, doesn't make sense. Didn't make sense at all. And of course, Eli Drake wins the match. OVE actually did interfere. OVE did interfere in the match and against Moose. Eddie Edwards came out as well to run off LAX, but Eli Drake, I think he hit a low blow and got a 2 count, and he hit the gravy train and gets the victory over Moose, and Eli Drake has got the case. Eli Drake has got the tag team title shot and the world title shot, so Moose is, like I said, completely outsmarted by Eli Drake, and Eli Drake getting a world title shot. I absolutely love it. Eli Drake, they should put the belt back on him. I love Eli Drake. Put the title back on him. If it was up to me, I'd put the title back on Eli Drake in a heartbeat. But again, very, very good match. Eli Drake wins, and he has both cases now, and that's how the show ends. This decent show. It was a decent show this week. Again, Eli Drake was totally outsmarting Moose on that one. I mean, come on. I mean, he gave a heartfelt interview a few weeks ago, saying that he hasn't gotten a title shot, and he wants a title shot, and he wants that belt. He wants the Impact Wrestling World Title belt, and he wants the title shots. And he gets it. He gets the case. He gets the title shot, and then he puts it on the line. And then he loses it. So I don't know. It didn't make sense. But anyway, and one more time, they got to get out of that Impact Zone. Absolutely got to get out of that Impact Zone. Okay, so let's move on, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's run through Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground, and then we'll wrap it up for the week, and we'll be back next week. So, as I said, this was a tremendous card. 1 or 2 matches were okay, but overall it was a tremendous card of professional wrestling. Great stuff here. I absolutely love the cross promotion. I hope they do it again. The crowd was just so pumped up, compared to the Impact Zone crowd. This crowd was electric. It was on fire, chanting "This is awesome" numerous times. Great stuff. Absolutely loved it. So let's run down the matches. There were 9 matches in all. Talk about them briefly, and then we'll wrap it up. So the first match was actually Chavo Guerrero versus Moose versus Matt Sydal versus Jack Evans versus Caleb Conley versus Mantanza. So of course Guerrero, Evans, and Mantanza, Lucha Underground, Moose, Sydal, and Caleb Conley from Impact Wrestling. So it was every man for himself, and this was a great opener. Solid action as everyone got in there. Got in good spots. Very entertaining match. Moose and Mantanza had their confrontation. Both the 2 big men of the match. Jack Evans hit some really good spots. The crowd was pumped up for it. Great match to open the show. I thought it was very fun, very entertaining. But in the end, Lucha Underground, Mantanza, he pins Caleb Conley for the win. I think he hit the move Wrath of the Gods, I think it was called, on Caleb Conley. He gets the win. So Mantanza wins the first match. Again, great crowd watching. Really pumped up. Post-match, Chavo Guerrero cuts an in-ring promo talking about Lucha Underground Season 4, which is returning June 13th. Great opener. Really loved the opener. The second match was actually Taya Valkyrie getting a Impact Wrestling knockout shot against current champion Allie, and this was another really good match. I really enjoyed this match. Good back and forth action. Both women worked really hard. They really delivered in this match. Allie's working really well with Taya. They had good chemistry. Really liked the match. Really liked the match. Great stuff. Like I said, good back and forth action. I thought Taya Valkyrie was going to walk away with the title, but I was wrong. Allie is victorious here. She retains. She hit a code breaker on Taya Valkyrie for the win. So Allie retains the Knockouts title, defeats Taya Valkyrie in a very good match. And this is not the last time we're going to see Allie taking on Taya Valkyrie, because I'm sure in Impact Wrestling they'll have a feud sometime down the road for sure. But this was a great match between the two. Really liked it. And I'm glad Allie retained the title. Fan of Allie. She's doing a great job as champion. She's really a great representative for the Knockouts, for Impact Wrestling as their Knockouts champion. So great match here. Really good stuff. And Taya Valkyrie is just. Yeah, and I'm glad Rosemary didn't get involved. I thought maybe Rosemary would come down and get involved and, assist Allie in winning the match. But I'm glad she didn't. I'm glad Allie won clean on her own. Great stuff. It really elevates her as a Knockouts champion, getting this huge victory here over Taya Valkyrie. Match 3. Match 3 was probably my least favorite match of the night. OVE, David and Jake Christ taking on Teddy Hart and Scott Steiner. That's right, Scott Steiner was back, and like I said, this match was okay. Okay, I wasn't a fan of Scott Steiner getting the win. The Steiner recliner is not the greatest looking hold, and I think Steiner's in his 50s now, so I don't know. It's just. Well, I shouldn't say I wouldn't want to fight Scott Steiner. If I'm walking down the street and he picks a fight with me, I'll be scared to death, of course. But I just didn't think this was a very good match. I think Hart was in for the match for most of the match, and then Steiner gets the tag, and I think it hit his belly to belly, and they might have hit a suplex or two, and then he got the Steiner recliner on. I think it was Jake Christ, and they got the victory. But not a very good match, And again, I'm not a fan of Scott Steiner getting the victory here. OVE should have went over here. I don't think OVE has won a match. I don't think Dave and Jake Christ have won a match since the LAX feud has ended. I'm trying to think, unless they won something on Xplosion or something, but I don't think they've won a match, or they won very few matches they've been in for Impact Wrestling since they've lost since the LAX feud has ended. So this would have been a good time for them to go over. But nonetheless, Scott Steiner and Teddy Hart, they're victorious in this match. And then match 4 was without a doubt my favorite match, one of my favorite matches on the show, if not my favorite match on the show. King Cuerno, Drago, and AeroStar versus from Lucha Underground, of course, taking on Andrew Everett, Dezmond Xavier, and DJ Z. And my goodness, this was incredible. This was an incredible match. Crowd is chanting, "This is awesome," throughout. Great stuff. Back and forth action, very fun, very entertaining. Everyone got a chance to shine. Everybody hit big spots. Great stuff. It was great to see DJ Z back. It was great to see Andrew Everett back in the ring. We haven't seen him in a while. And of course, Dezmond Xavier, very talented. So it was great to see all of them in the ring. And Cuerno, who of course is El Hijo de Fantasma in Impact Wrestling, but here he's playing the King Cuerno character. Drago and AeroStar, also 3 very talented wrestlers, so it was a tremendous match. One of my favorite on the shows. Great stuff. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved this match. Cuerno, whoops, I hit the pop screen. Sorry about that. I knocked the pop screen off the microphone. I just had to adjust it back. Sorry about that. But anyway, back to the match. King Cuerno actually taps out Andrew Everett at the end. It was Indian Deathlock. He locked on for the win. And King Cuerno, Drago, and AeroStar defeat Andrew Everett, Dezmond Xavier, and DJ Z. And again, in a tremendous match. And post-match, they shook hands. Show of respect, but outstanding match between all six competitors. Great stuff here. Absolutely loved it. And the crowd again with the this is awesome chants was just fantastic. Just fantastic match. And after that we got it's supposed to be Trevor Lee against Famous B. I think I'm not really familiar with the Lucha Underground wrestlers, but it seemed like Famous B was more of a manager type than more of a manager than a wrestler. But he was supposed to wrestle here, but apparently he hired Marty the Moth. Who I know, I'm a fan. I like Marty the Moth. I hired Marty the Moth for on a 1-day contract, and the match became Trevor Lee against Marty the Moth, and it was a decent match. Nothing special, but it was a decent match. I think Trevor Lee is a lot better than he showed here. I thought we were going to get a tremendous match between the two, but it was nothing special. And Trevor Lee, actually, Marty the Moth late in the match goes for a moonsault. He misses. Trevor Lee rolls him up, and it gets the win. So Trevor Lee, who was actually out there with Caleb Conley, wins the match. But again, nothing special. And Trevor Lee is much better than this, as is Marty the Moth. I was expecting a much better match between the two. But anyway, on to match 6, which was my absolute favorite match of the show. I know I was talking about the previous match, but the next match was my absolute favorite match of the show. It was one of the best tag teams in the world, Santana and Ortiz, taking on, from Lucha Underground, Killshot, who is Shane Strickland, and Willie Mack. Willie Mack, I've known Willie Mack for a number of years. Very, very talented wrestler. And I wrote 3 words to describe this match in my notes, and 3 words are wow, wow, wow. Okay, this was a absolutely tremendous match. Definitely a match of the month candidate, in my opinion. Tremendous match from start to finish. I really thought that Killshot and Willie Mack were going to win the Impact Tag Team titles. I believed it. It became very believable as the match went on that we were going to get new champions here. But in the end, LAX do retain. They hit a street sweeper on Killshot to retain the Impact Tag Team titles. But holy crap, what a freaking match between both tag teams. Absolutely fantastic. Without a doubt, the best match of the night on the card. Wow. I was talking earlier, Impact Wrestling needs more tag teams. Killshot and Willie Mack are a tremendous tag team. Even if they can't use Killshot, bring in Shane Strickland and Willie Mack as a tag team and have them feud with LAX. I would be so invested in that feud. Wow, this was a tremendous match. And again, I thought we were going to get a title change. It was that good. I really believed we were going to get title change as the match was progressing. And Diamante is back, by the way, so that was good to see Diamante back. So she's back with LAX, so it was really good to see her back. But this match, absolutely incredible from start to finish. And then we had another great match after that. Eli Drake against Brian Cage. Eli Drake got an in-ring promo. Terrific ads, terrific promo. And after that, Brian Cage comes in the ring, and we get another terrific match. Another terrific match for the show. This show was so freaking good, man. Was so freaking good. Anybody out there who dares to get on the Impact Wrestling Facebook page, Instagram page, or Twitter and continues to put down Impact Wrestling as being quote-unquote garbage or they got 6 months to go, they need to freaking watch this show, and they will change their opinions dramatically, instantly, I should say. Not dramatically, instantly. This was a terrific match between Cage and Eli Drake. Great stuff. Great action. Both guys are so awesomely talented, and it was a perfect match. It was almost like a perfect matchup here. It was great stuff. Brian Cage does win. He hits the Rolling Lariat on Eli Drake for the win. Gets the win. Of course, Brian Cage's got to go over. They're building up Brian Cage, as the top guy in Impact Wrestling. So he gets the win here over Eli Drake, of course. But great match between Drake and Brian Cage. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was almost as good as the previous match, Santana and Ortiz versus Killshot and Willie Mack. But great match, and I'm sure again, as I said about Allie and Taya Valkyrie, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more Eli Drake and Brian Cage down the road. Great stuff here. Great stuff. And then after that, we got another great match. I tell you, man, this card was so freaking good, man. It was Jeremiah Crane, a.k.a. Sami Callihan, versus Eddie Edwards in an I Quit match. And this was a great brawl as well. It's just a terrific brawl. Now, of course, he's being Jeremiah Crane. That's Sami Callihan's character in Lucha Underground, Jeremiah Crane. Actually, you know what? Before I go into the match, Eddie Edwards and Jeremiah Crane, I wanted to bring this up a little earlier, and I just remembered. I just pulled up on Impact. Actually, I'm going to read Impact Wrestling tweet. Impact versus Lucha Underground was a huge success, a jam-packed crowd. It was our most watched Twitch stream ever, and one of the most watched on Twitch today, period. We doubled our subscribers, and we are now have the most followers of any wrestling organization on Twitch. So they have. I was watching, and there was about 20,000 people that were watching the live feed. So great stuff. Great success for Impact Wrestling here. Great stuff. So I just wanted to read that off. I meant to read it a little earlier. I do apologize for that. And it also says, plus we broke 1 million total views on Twitch. An amazing night. So that's terrific. Great news for Impact Wrestling, and they're really on an upswing right now. And they don't need that. Again, they don't need this crap from Alberto El Patron. They don't need any negativity right now. But anyway, back to the I Quit match. Jeremiah Crane, also known as Sami Callihan, Jeremiah Crane and Lucha Underground versus Eddie Edwards in the I Quit match. And great brawl. Good spots, lots of punishment being dealt out by both wrestlers here. Great stuff. It was just great. It was just a great brawl. Eddie Edwards powerbombing Crane on a barricade, which was terrific. Crane hitting Edwards with a chair a few times. I think he wrapped the chair around his head and trying to force him to quit, but Edwards wouldn't quit. But it was some great stuff. Great brawl here between both wrestlers, as expected. And OVE, Jake and Dave Chris, they show up, which is a little confusing because Jeremiah Crane is not Sami Callihan. So I'm not familiar with the Jeremiah Crane character. I don't know where he's from. I don't know if he's built from Ohio. But it's Sami Callihan. So the Chris brothers showed up, but Moose makes the save. Moose comes out, makes the save, and it ends. Jeremiah Crane was put a chair on Eddie Edwards while he was out, and he was going to redo the baseball shot spot that he screwed up a few weeks ago when he hit him in the face. But Don Callis comes out and then tries to stop him, and Don Callis throws in the towel. And that ends the match. So the winner is Jeremiah Crane because Don Callis has thrown the towel in to stop the match. It was a little disappointing ending, but it was good to see Don Callis. I'm a big fan of his announcing on New Japan Pro Wrestling, but it was good to see Don Callis coming out, and just that the ending could have been a little better, but overall I absolutely loved the match. I thought it was terrific. Don Callis, coming out to save Eddie Edwards. I guess when you think about it, there's really nothing wrong with that. He's trying to, he's concerned about his talent, so he comes out and makes the save and throws in the towel. So I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But it it means that the feud's going on. The feud, there wasn't a decisive end to the feud here. Eddie Edwards could say, "Well, I didn't quit." Callis threw in the towel, and the feud can go on. So maybe it made the most sense. I'll take back what I said. Maybe the ending did actually make a lot of sense. But again, overall, great effort from both Eddie Edwards and Jeremiah Crane. And then we find out that the match, the main event, is now a three-way dance. They didn't announce Alberto El Patron no showing until this match actually began. There was no talk of it, but then they said, "Oh, we have a three-way dance coming up. Alberto El Patron's not here." And that's when the crowd started yelling, F Del Rio, F Del Rio. And I was a little pissed off, but we got an excellent main event. Pentagon Jr. versus Impact Wrestling champion Austin Aries against Phoenix. And we got a really good main event. And again, I think it probably would have been a less enjoyable match if Alberto El Patron was there. But instead of a tag team match, everybody's involved, three-way dance, and I think it was a much better match than if Patron was there. And we got some really good action here. Got some really good action. Pentagon Jr. I've always been a fan of. Phoenix is so talented, as is Austin Aries. Great work by all three talented wrestlers. And in the end, Pentagon Jr. does hit a really good pop-up powerbomb. And hits a Penta driver on Phoenix for the win, and Pentagon Jr. Wins the main event. So Pentagon Jr. is the winner, and Austin Aries took a double super kick from Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix as well. Just plastering him. It's just a good thing Kevin Kelly was there, because he would have just fainted by yelling super kick. But anyway, that's a little Kevin Kelly reference there. Kevin Kelly and Don Callis, broadcast partners in New Japan. Anyway. But yeah, it was a great match, great main event between the three, and it was announced that at Redemption, it's going to be Pentagon Jr. Going one-on-one with Phoenix. Now, I initially thought this was going to be a Lucha Underground match, but it's actually they're representing AAA Wrestling from Mexico in this match. But still, it's going to be a terrific match. Pentagon Jr. against Phoenix one-on-one at the Redemption pay-per-view, which is April 22nd. Let me pull up. April 22nd. So the Redemption pay-per-view is shaping up to be a decent match, a decent card, and we'll go more into that detail next week. We'll talk about more of that in detail next week. Repeat myself. Just want to make sure everybody heard me the first time. But yeah, and that's it. So that was it for of our Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground, and it was great match. Absolutely loved it, and nothing but absolute praise all over Twitter. And again, there's nothing that happened on this card. Well, I'm sure all the Twitter, all the Impact haters, and all the Impact trolls, they'll probably harp on Scott Steiner. Oh, look at Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner's back. Why did they bring back Scott Steiner? He's 55 years old. They'll probably harp on that instead of the rest of the show. Hey, you got Scott Steiner back. Oh, look at Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner's back in the ring. Oh, what did they bring about Scott Steiner? I can see people. I can see people now just tweeting about that, and I'm expecting to see it like on Facebook. When Impact talks about this show on Facebook or Instagram, we'll see. Oh, Scott Steiner's back. But anyway, but that's it. Terrific show. I can't say it enough. I can't say enough how just incredible Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground was. And I hope they do it again. Because and I hope, I'm going to make a plea to Impact Wrestling. Bring in Shane Strickland, either as Shane Strickland or Killshot and Willie Mack. Bring them in as a tag team. Let them feud with LAX. A great tag. That could be a epic feud right there. An epic feud right there. Bring them in. And that's it for this week. Impact Wrestling. Pro Wrestling Personified, the Impact Wrestling Edition. And that's it. I got nothing else. So, on that note, I'm going to say thank you so much for listening this week. I will be back next week. I'll talk about, of course, the show, the Xplosion match of the week, and I will do more shout-outs, and I will talk about Redemption, see how the Redemption pay-per-view is shaping up, and I'm sure I'll be talking about Alberto El Patron again next week as well. So until then, I will say thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and take care, bye-bye, and stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.